Okay, that brings us to, how are we doing on time?
It's 3:15.
Okay. We're going to do some discussion. I have some questions that I sent the panel some of these, and some of them I didn't. And then we're going to leave some time for some Q&A and go from there. The first thing I want to ask is, and it's kind of the elephant in the room going back to my introduction, is there a West Virginia humor? Is it Southern humor? Is it different from that? What makes West Virginia humor unique? It's a hard question because it gets back to that frog thing. When you start looking at it, it kind of slows it down because
I think we're fine with making fun of ourselves, but don't anybody else do it.
Yeah.
That's like any inter-ethnic kind of humor. It's okay if you or somebody like you says it, that probably somebody from Ohio says it.
That's right, yeah.
I love Ohio is like my favorite place to pick on. That's good.
You have Ohio jokes?
I have Ohio jokes. My brother lives in Ohio. If anybody wonders why I pick on him so much, I'm getting hurt. And I've actually gotten email from people because they're like, why do you pick on Ohio so much? Well, it's like, well, now you just gave me more reason to pick on Ohio.
I agree with them, and I agree with the whole Ohio statement.
Yeah. Those people never stay home. You always see them on the road somewhere. They don't even like
in the fast lane.
Yeah, yeah. Related to that, and Phyllis Moore is here. Let's hear it for Phyllis Moore. This is the Maven of West Virginia. If you've never seen a Maven, there she is. She helped me out a lot with the research on this and tossed me things to chew on. And one of the things that she sent me was an interview that was done with the author George Ella Lyon. I wasn't familiar with her work, but there's a statement here that really jumped out at me, and I got to thinking that it also reminded me of some of the criticism that Lee Maynard got with Crumb, and that has to do if you're making fun of your own, and sometimes it gets too close to the bone. And I like this. It says, somebody was criticizing that you put too much violence in there, ugliness, and despair. It looks bad on us, they said. We're not like that. And they assumed they were right. What she said was, the idea is that literature is not reportage. You can use it as art. And the example that I love was, she said, if Kafka had lived in Hazard, Kentucky, just take that for a second, when he published the Metamorphoses, outsiders would have praised him, saying, see, we always knew those people were bugs. And the insiders would have taken him down the road because they would have said, it was bad enough being hillbillies, now we're cockroaches. So, when you find a target, when you're making fun of somebody, I mean, is it coming out of love, or are you trying to, when you pick a target and kind of do humor with it?
Sometimes it's just in front of you, and you can't help it. it's like a found treasure.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that, and it's funny. I wrote a story about a guy with a pet pig, and he thought it was a Vietnamese potbelly pig, but it turned into a hog, and he still kept it, and he still has it. And I found that it's a true story, and I wrote about it. And, they just fall from the sky, and I grab them.
Yeah. Rick Bragg, there was a book panel that took place in New Orleans, and Rick Bragg from Alabama, who was the co-writer with Jessica Lynch on her book. And, Rick Bragg's a really great writer, all over with the Shout, Neighbors Band, so on and so forth. He said that the topic was, can you be poking fun at your people? And he says you can't do that. What you have to do is first poke fun at yourself, square in the eye, and accept you are of a place and not just from it. And I think that's kind of what these folks do, that you know that they're not an outsider coming in making fun of a region or a particular trait or characteristic. Okay, that was the one I wanted to get out of the way, but it was kind of the one that I felt needed to ask. Now I'll ask the panel. I've noticed when I was going through your work that all of you write about animals or your pets. And I'm sure there are a lot of pet people here. What is it about our critters that make us laugh, and they just rich material? Do you have, everybody have pets, dogs?
Well, part of it is desperation. You can't think of anything else. And you think of something stupid your dog did in a week, and you write about it. Everybody likes stupid dog stories.
Yeah, yeah.
I have 3 stupid dogs, and it's really easy. They are the 3 dumbest living creatures I think I've ever met. And my husband accuses me, I think, sometimes of bringing home a new animal just so I'll have something else to write about. Because, the rabbits have provided a lot of material. The cat's not so much. I'm thinking pot-bellied pig, it's starting to sound kind of good.
Cat's lie.
Yeah, cat's lie. But it's like when I'm writing most of the time, there are always 3 dogs in the room, at least 1 cat. For a while, and maybe again in the winter, there will be a rabbit or 2. For a long time, there were 2 rats that were like, my keyboard was here and the rats were here, and it's hard not to write about them when they're like in your face like that, giving you material.
Have to reach for a mouse.
I think people are nuts about animals because they give us unconditional love and they can't talk. Those are 2 really good things to have in a friend.
Yes, you can project it everything.
Yeah. And I just,
my friends just talk.
your friends do.
Yeah, I don't have pets. So
One of my favorite stories ever was Karen's, I just washed my hair and I can't do a thing with it. She got bunnies. We had bunnies first, right?
Yeah, you had bunnies first.
We rescued a rabbit in my mom's neighborhood in Bridgeport, and we weren't sure of the gender until 7 days later when it brought forth 7 young, and then we were pretty sure it was a girl. And I told you you're not allowed to ever bathe a rabbit. It's just any vet will tell you you're not. I think it's because the fur is so dense that if you would do it in a colder month, that they would
They go
die of
outside
cold.
in the rain. They live in,
And non-domestic ones. But she bathed her rabbits, and they were quite fond of the experience.
they floated.
They asked for wine. They broke the no talk rule, and they asked for
They were
wine.
all buoyant and stuff, and it was just amazing to watch these. You put a rabbit down in a worm tub, and they acted like they'd been doing it for years. I mean, they just knew that it was great. And afterwards, we wrapped them in a towel and we dried their hair. And
did you get a column out of it?
Oh, I got
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I also got hate mail. Because somebody sent me a letter and they said, you never should wash your hair. And I'm like,
You never should wash your hair.
you never should wash your hair.
Never.
And they're like, I'm like, well, what do they do outside? They're not wearing little trench coats. They need to be clean. And just the other day, for the record, it was pouring down rain. I went outside. Our rabbits have free run of our backyard during the summer. And they're too large to get through the fence. And everything we have gets cut.
That's a big bunny.
That's a big bunny. But I
Thanksgiving.
went out to check
I've had
on-
rabbit. I'm from West Virginia. I've
never eaten
I won't anymore now that they're my pet.
Well, I went out to check on them, and they were both outside in the rain on their own. They could have gone inside. They chose to be in the rain. So
You're not supposed to wash them or anything. And
Oh.
there's the oil on their
the
fur.
oils.
See?
Oh, so see, somebody knows. Well, I didn't use any.
Same thing with
I used-
hamsters, gerbils.
Really?
Give me my hamsters back.
Calling on
Andy.
pets. Let's keep this in this room, okay? Where it stays in this room. I already heard the word "eula" used in public. I was 18 before I quit getting excited about that. Yeah, whatever. I'm slow. Let me ask, and each of you, I'd like to ask separately or to respond to this. All what we're doing, all writing, is storytelling. And that's what your columns are, and the novellas, and even the blog. We're all telling stories. Who were some of your influences, either in your family as a family member, or somebody in popular culture that called you to writing stories? My dad loved comedians and Jonathan Winters, and just whatever it is that kind of got you interested, or did you just kind of show up on its own in your life? Rick?
Yeah, well, I never even thought about being a columnist ever. Of course, I've been a newspaper reporter ever since I got out of college. But we used to have when we first got computers in the newsroom, one of the ancient systems we had a, I I don't know what you call it, like kind of a storage place to park stories before you knew what to do with them, called Common Cube. And nobody used it, so some of us reporters would like write a chapter of a story, then somebody would do the second chapter, and then somebody would add a chapter to that, and you get a funny thing going, usually making fun of the bosses or people in politics or something like that. And Ned Chilton, who was then our publisher, was reading those, and luckily he had a sense of humor. And because I'd just written one where he was ordering Jim Hott to do an expose on honeybees because he realized how they were being exploited by beekeepers. And I don't know. And anyway, he asked me to say, look, if you're spending all the time writing this stuff, why don't you at least put it in the book? And try not to make fun of me as too often. And so that's how I got into it, because I never really even thought about it. But I did like, when I was growing up, on the Bonback, my mom was really a big fan, and the very first newspaper I worked for was the Dayton Journal-Herald.
Oh yeah.
And I think she was done with it then, but she, her column still might have appeared there, even though she didn't work there. But because I think she was on one of those Phil Donahue TV show, maybe something like that at that time. But anyway, I liked her a lot, and I liked Art Buchwald, and but those are about the only people I knew who were columnists.
Mm-hmm. Terry, how about you?
I grew up with the Irish humor at home, influenced by my grandfather and my father, and I've always loved brash, rank humor. I draw it from, the Three Stooges, the Buster Keaton. A lot of his stuff is jolting, and then right up through the ages with Jonathan Winters was a genius. I like Richard Pryor. I like the shock effect.
Yeah, Richard Pryor just blew my world apart. I wanted to do comedy when I was a baby, but some people were so good at what they do, they intimidate you. You don't want to try it because they're that good. But Diane, how about you?
We're talking about influences?
Yeah, just
okay.
Earlier.
My dad was a really funny guy. He taught psychology at Marshall for years. I never sat in his classroom, but people said he was like George Carlin. I'm assuming that's without the cussing. And I had 3 brothers, and they were all funny. And as a family, we would sit every night and we would watch television, and it was Archie Bunker, and it was MASH, and it was Sonny and Cher, and it was Carol Burnett, and then later when you're in college, it's Saturday Night Live, so that's some of the stuff.
Okay. Karin?
Well, I have a very odd family. When I was maybe 3rd grade or so, I was a young, I loved writing, and one of the first things I wrote, I had a turtle collection. I had live turtles, I had toy turtles, little stuffed turtles. I was really into turtles. And my mother, who's one of the funniest people I know, was out walking in the woods one day, and she found a dead turtle. And it wasn't just dead, it had been in the sun for a long time. And so all the little parts, they had turned into a skeleton. And so Mom went and got a box, and she put all the pieces in the box. And then for Christmas that year, I got the box, and it said right on the lid, build your own turtle kit, just add meat. So that was like one of the earliest stories I ever wrote about in school, and it got a lot of attention from the teacher. I think maybe a few
Dead turtle, yeah.
Mom was never looked at the scene when she was but I mean, it was one of those things that, it was one of the first things I enjoyed writing about, and I don't know, I've never wanted to do anything but write. That's the only thing I ever wanted. And my parents are very funny people. I don't think they know it. My husband is in the back. He is one of the funniest people I've ever met. Everybody else thinks he's serious, but he's not. And my daughter, we think she's a storyteller, but I think she's just really a liar.
Same thing.
Yeah. And she comes up with such good ones that, it's really hard not to go, ooh, yeah. But I've just always been around funny people. I wish I could be as fast as some of them.